Hello again, everybody. In John chapter 13, verses 34 to 35, Jesus says this: "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." There's a call on our lives as followers of Jesus to love one another. And Jesus says, as I have loved you, so you must love one another. In the Greek, that literally means in the same way as I have loved you, so you must love one another. So how has he loved us? This is 1 John chapter 4, verses 9 to 12. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us and his love is made complete in us. Can hear Jesus's words in John's words here, can't we? The same John who, of course, wrote the gospel with Jesus's words, with those words of Jesus in. But notice that the final line there: if we love one another, God lives in us and his love is made complete in us. In other words, God's love is not made complete in us unless it comes out of us to others. And in the chapter before, John writes this: "Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth." So a challenge for you today: what actions are you going to take to love others today? It might be a phone call or a card or a letter or an email or a message on social media. You might choose to share a verse that's spoken to you recently or you think would bless them. You might want to share some encouragement of something that you've heard about or that has happened recently. You might want to tell them why you appreciate them. You might want to just tell them that you're thinking of them and praying for them at the moment. And perhaps you may not feel much like doing that today. Maybe things are challenging for you at the moment. And you may not feel like doing that. And it will cost you to do that perhaps for some today. Well, that cost is what makes our love sacrificial, choosing to go beyond what we would do because of what Jesus did for us. Because when we love one another, God's love is made complete in us. Following this, there's going to be another video of one of my favourite speakers who I've shown you videos of before, Rob Parsons, and it's a story of how Rob and his wife Diane were able to love another. It's a story of sacrificial love, of costly love, and I just share it really to encourage and inspire you in terms of sometimes what it might look like to love one another. But your act of love today towards another doesn't have to be as costly as theirs, because whatever you do to love another today is precious in the sight of God. In Matthew 25, when Jesus is telling the story of the sheep and the goats, the king in the story, who is God up in heaven, says this: "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." So today, as you just watch the Rob Parsons video, decide what you're going to do to love another today. What act are you going to make to bless somebody else? Because whatever you do for them, you do for God. So here comes the Rob Parsons video. I hope you find that interesting and helpful. I was amazed the first time I heard him share this. I'd heard him speak 2 or 3 times previously, and then this one particular time he shared this story of sacrificial love. It was a real blessing and a real challenge to meet. So I hope you find it helpful. It's been great to talk to you, and we'll catch up again soon. All the best.